The last point, although it played a minor part in the president's decision, had been on the minds of Protestant Americans, whose missionary societies had sent many evangelists to the islands. Methodists, in particular, wrote of saving the little brown brother. Some historians dismiss the expressions of concern for the Filipinos as insecure excuses for national economic expansion, but, as usual, they ignore the genuine doctrinal commitment of most Christian groups to evangelize. Hundreds of men were taken behind the school that day, and only a small number survived the firing squad. My brother Saeed was shot in the leg and shoulder, and after he fell, he closed his eyes and tried to calm his heart and stop breathing so loudly. A body fell on top of him. It belonged to a big, heavy man who was even denser now that he was dead, and Saeed bit his tongue to keep from groaning under the cursing weight. At least this body will hide me from the militants, he thought, and closed his eyes. The ditch smelled of blood. Beside him, another man who was not yet dead groaned and cried from the pain, begging someone to help him. Saeed heard the footsteps of the militants as they walked back in his direction. One of the militants said, "That dog is still alive," before letting go another deafening round of automatic fire. She too is an extraordinary individual. She had been laundress, mistress of many generals, and was not even a Russian. But Peter fell in love with her, changing her name to Catherine, and ultimately would make her Empress of Russia. In her own right, in their saucy letters, he calls her Catherine Kakusha, my heart's friend, and often adding, "I am bored without you." They would tease each other about other girls, especially laundresses. "I got your letter full of jokes. You'll say I'll be looking for a new lead, but I'm to her when visiting Versailles on the 28th of April, 1717. A few mornings later, Oliver walked past the neighbor's house and saw the elderly man feeding the birds in the company of a little boy, a grandchild of his. Ove realized. He watched them surreptitiously through the bedroom window. The way older men and the boys spoke in low voices with each other, as if they were sharing some great secret, reminded him of something. Some of the Darod fought back, and in these battles, both the Darod and the Hawiye died in large numbers. Saeed Bear's army had shrunk to the soldiers who guarded his presidential palace on the 27th of January 1991. In the midst of the mayhem, Mahawi and I learned from the BBC Somalia service that Bear had been flown out of safety to Nairobi. The house feels different immediately. It feels lighter and softer, and it feels at long last normal again. Alex stands for a moment in the hallway and absorbs the change in the energy. The cat sashays down the hall toward her and throws itself around Alexi's legs celebratorily, as if she too knows that her territory is ruined, is returned to her. Alex gathers her into her arms, carries her into the kitchen, and puts her on the work surface near her food bowl. She accepted my offer of the sweet potato with the smile and blew on it, but avoiding taking a bite by asking what had brought me to this remote place. Was I being re educated? It is no more necessary or possible to rank these different kinds of books than to rank different kinds of colleges. The various kinds of guides are complementary, and even for a given kind of guide, both multiple opinions and even multiple statistics need to be checked against one another. All can be useful in getting beyond the myths and misinformation which abound on academic institutions. Other Indian tribes relocated or were crushed. When Jackson attempted to remove Chief Black Hawk and the Sioux and Fox Indians in Illinois, Black Hawk resisted. The Illinois militia pursued the Indians into Wisconsin territory, where at Bad Axe they utterly destroyed the warriors and slaughtered women and children as well. The Seminole in Florida also staged a campaign of resistance that nearly took a decade to quell and ended only when uh, Us- Osceola, the Seminole chief, was treacherously captured under the auspices of a white flag in 1837. It would be several decades before Eastern whites began to reassess their treatment of the Indians with any remorse or taint of consciousness. Oh. By now, it was past noon and the sun was even hotter. If I looked out the window, I instantly felt nauseous. But if I tried to close my eyes, the darkness behind them swirled and was dizzying. So I stared straight ahead at the back of Nasir's seat, thinking of nothing of but myself and what might happen along the road. My fear of was unrelenting. I knew we had more Islamic State checkpoints to go through, and after the Peshmerga, the phone Nasir gave me buzzed, and I saw that it had a text message from him. I did not hasten to answer your letter because I am not leaving Petersburg for next Saturday. I'm sorry I have not been to see Madame Nasirin, but I think I'd better defer my visit till my book has come out, when I shall be able to turn more freely to the material I have. My brief Scahalan past looms so immense, and in my imagination that when I want to speak about it, I don't know where to begin. And it always seems to me that I have not said what was wanted. For more than 15 minutes, he stood waiting for her at the station with his right fitting suit and his new polished shoes. Excuse me. He was skeptical about people who came late. If you can't depend on someone being on time, you shouldn't trust them with anything more important either. He used to mutter when people came dribbling along with their time cards 3 or 4 minutes late, as if this didn't matter, as if the railway line would just lie there waiting for them in the morning and nothing have something better to, and not having something better to do. I knew this could ignite a major world conflict. When I got home from work, I told Ellen, the Americans are going to retaliate. They are not like the Dutch. They are not going to say, let's sit down and talk about this. It will be a third world war. Ellen told me not to get so overwrought. Yeah. Okay. Also, anybody's welcome to come in. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm playing with Parker's algorithm on the corner map. And I want to put words into the pool of my channel that will kind of disrupt predictive things. So therefore, I'm reading paragraphs, just random paragraphs that I'm opening up to in these several books that I've randomly pulled off the shelf. I'll probably go put them back and grab a new set of books. So far, I think it's been honestly kind of interesting in an estuary kind of way, like pitching different paragraphs, which is kind of a weird. Talk about a postmodern. This is a true postmodern piece of literature. Harry is their next door neighbor's son. Alex has known him since the day he was a child, but now he's an adult in his last year at university, and she hasn't seen him for a long while. Just as your parents and mine always dreamed that we'd be doctors like them. Four Eyes parents probably wanted their son to be a writer. They must have thought it would be good for him to read books, even if he had to do it so in secret. In elementary and secondary education, the lag of American school children behind their counterparts in other countries has become a widely known disgrace. What is not so widely understood is that this lag is greatest in thinking skills rather than in mere information or even in the application of mathematical recipes, as distinguished from multi-step analysis. Johnny can't think. That's the bottom line, and that makes American education bankrupt. This is fascinating to me, honestly, to pull these different random paragraphs and just start reading. Let's see. I'm trying to not get such long ones, but during the first 3 months, I carried all these activities without a car, depending entirely on buses and streetcars. Who always had to have a car at my immediate command. Who had never made a speech in my life and who would have been frightened sick at the prospect, stood up at the front of Rotary groups in different parts of the city and talked about Alcoholics Anonymous. I carried away with the desire to serve AA, gave what was probably one of the first radio broadcasts about AA, living through a case of Mike fright and feeling like $1 million when it was all over. I lived through a week of fidgets because I had agreed to address the group of alcoholics inmates in one of our state mental hospitals. There it was the same reward, exhilaration at a mission accomplished. Do I have to tell you who gained the most out of all this? Let's go grab some other books. Now, here's another caveat. I've not read any of these books. I have a whole library here, and I've seldom been able to read any of them. So this is a Patriot's History of the United States by Larry Schwackaert and Michael Allen. From Columbus's Great Discovery to the War on Terror. That's this one. We have Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dao Saji. That's this. So I've been reading pieces out of that. We have Lisa Jewell, a novel. None of this is true. I don't even know where we got these. Infidel by Ayaan Hirsi Ali. A Man Called Of. Written in History. Letters That Changed the World. I got this in an airport. We have The Last Girl. Nadia Murad. I don't know. And Thomas Sowell, Inside American Education. So, honestly, every one of these books are my wife's. I'll be right back. I'll just read a bunch and then I'll give you the titles. With tributaries, the North and South Platte Rivers, the Platte River Network runs more than 1,000 miles from its headwater along the east face of the Rockies in central Wyoming and Colorado. For most of its course, though, Colorado and Wyoming, the Platte, is a relatively predictable river. After a heavy winter, the river rages bank to bank as it accepts the snow melt from 11,000-foot peaks or piece of runs over exposed river rock after a mild snowfall year. But by the time it loops southeast to the plains of western Nebraska, the Platte spills wide across the flat bottomlands, expanding and contracting according to the delayed impact of snowmelt that rains hundreds of miles away. This created a drainage with the indefinite main channel and several continually shifting parallel streams, more a delta of water than a river, for a formation called a braided stream or braided flow. Interesting. Oh, fascinating. Okay. With Beck's unnecessary encouragement, Houdini added enormously to his library, running afoul of Bess in the process. For years, Bess had felt in competition with Houdini's various collections, seeing them as a mistress vying for her husband's attention. It got to the point where Bex would literally creep up the front steps, stash the new acquisition in the vestibule, then sneak down and ring the basement bell for admittance. Passing Bess's muster by appearing empty-handed, Bex would go upstairs, quietly open the front door, retrieve his cachet, and spirit the books up to the library. I want to read that. Very cool. Oh yeah. Yet the Secret Service was thin on detail. Baggett could only guess at the extent of Contran operations, which was why the latest report from SIS was so interesting, as well as revealing the existence of an undercover Comintern propaganda bureau in London. It suggested that one of its employers was Runkel, Rolf Runkel, and that he worked under a senior Comintern operative who went by the cover name Professor P. He began to work at times about Fran. There is something slightly manic about her restlessness. She buzzes about too much. What is she after? She's not ill. Like Claude, if anything, she's a bit too well. She should slow down. He had his saw, a hammer, and chalk line, and rule. I say, I know that. Oh, nice. Welcome.
What fresh hell is this?
I'm playing with the corner map.
Oh.
It's based on, I was talking with E. Olson last night, and it's based on
Yeoman Olson, man. Help me make a stick.
Yeah, so the map, I guess, is it's driven by words, and I thought, well, I wonder what words. And most of the words that mine was coming up in mine was the song New King Big, because apparently I have like 3 versions of it on my channel.
You mouse over one, right? And
what's that?
If you mouse over a channel,
yeah,
the words down at the bottom.
Right.
Like the first time I did it, it was all Marty Stauffer.
Oh, Marty Stauffer. Yeah. So I wanted to play with this words thing by randomly grabbing books off the shelf and randomly reading paragraphs. And it's been kind of interesting, kind of from an estuary protocol perspective, kind of pointing by using random paragraphs to point. And so it's interesting to see the thread between all these paragraphs from random books and random paragraphs. And so I got a little time to screw around and thought, why not be unproductive? Because that's kind of fun.
But have the random paragraphs randomly strung together into a coherent theme despite the randomness?
Somewhat, yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird. But also, it's not that weird. Who's this guy? Ryan.
Ryan.
I've seen him before.
I have not.
I've seen him on...
Look at how fresh this fresh face is, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. I think I've seen him on a Luke stream and maybe even a Vanderclay stream before.
Yeah, I've popped into 1 or 2 of those.
See, if things were running
right, I'm trying to figure out the heat map of thislittlecorner.net. So I was hoping that you guys would have information on what it is and how to understand it.
I know almost nothing about it. That's why I
know it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know it makes sense. The grouping, like the groupings that it has grouped people into, makes an instant sense. Like in contrast to what I know, like my map internally that I don't even see, it feels resonant with the groupings that the thing has done.
Mm-hmm.
Like Viveki and Karen being over in the same part, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. So like the kind of the steep slope thing that we talked about, it's the steep slope isn't that steep if you know the slope. But if you don't know the slope, the map that you're talking about, the kind of intuition about the accuracy of the map, only makes sense if you're familiar with the map. So I guess what I would say to Grizz is, or to you, Ryan, is trust Grizz's instinct on it. Something like that. All right, let's do that.
So, like, where are we now? We're over on Chad, right?
Yeah.
Is this CMA renamed, or is it another new channel?
It's CMA or Chad or just Chad. There it is.
This is the cool. I don't know which one you guys have been looking at. This is the years by all time. So, like, watch the corner grow over time, ladies and gentlemen, by the power of this little corner. .net. 18, 19, 2020, the emergence of the blue one. Although they reassign the colors each click, it's kind of hurtful. 22, look at it popping off. I guess we could say each wave now is defined by when the dang thing makes a new grouping.
Is there a nameless on that grouping at all?
Nameless.
It'd be hard to do that
before you delete it. Exist is pre-scraped.
Yeah.
You'd have to ask Parker, man. I don't know about that.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You kind of disrupt them. I'm more of a map disruptor than a builder, I guess.
You just like dramatic exits and reappearances.
Yeah, well, the historical accuracy will be
tainted. You've corrupted the data set.
Yes.
Chaos engineer.
Yeah. Riz, how do you what's the URL for the map that has years?
This little corner.net /corners - years.
Well, that
What's
makes
all
sense.
time do?
Look how it kind of looks like a leaf, doesn't it? Like if you can almost like take like one of these oak leaves on my tree. It kind of looks, or on my shirt here, kind of has like a weird leaf look to it.
Look how far apart Hezi and McMo are in this.
That's wild.
That's what I mean. It's like it might kind of make sense. Like here's Ron Copperman up here, and across from him is Jordan Hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
This thing has no coherence. It makes no sense. What is the connection between the dramatist and Ethan Cawhey? And are these linked? Oh, it's citations.
Yeah.
Paul Vanderklay. Look at how much he cites the rest of the corner, mostly from the green sphere.
Which is whom?
Where's me?
What's the green sphere?
There, I'm down here. Oh, see, look. You could just quite the bridge between me and Vanderklay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can this be perceived as like is the outer fringes, is it actual fringy then, or what? And then whatever's in the middle is
channel UCI JMDXTB7. That's probably that's you.
Is the old channel?
The words are Chad, alcoholic, greetings, bridges, alcoholics, alcoholic, hub, alcoholics, alcoholic, applause, navigating patterns.
Yeah, that's the old channel.
So yes, it does. What was there before you tanked it apparently exists as a ghost in the machine. Look at little old Tyler way out here. Bink. He's connected to Jeff though. It's like let's play who's the Fed. We know Tyler is. He's connected to who's also connected to Sankasine and President Foxman. So that's clearly agents. What else do we got? Who's this mysterious newbie? Anger stands Frankel Nuggets. All right. And that ties into Charlie and Peterson and Jordan. That's the connection between Jordan Hall and all right. Yeah, this doesn't reveal anything anybody would want to know, really. Silly dots on a screen.
Well, it's fun to play with. I kind of wish that there was a way to incorporate some of the Substack stuff, or if there are any other kind of mediums that people were utilizing.
Or like that there was this little corner.net for Substack, like a platform specific one per site would be nice.
Yeah, or yeah, I guess that would be like some sort of a hub place. But yeah, I think we'll maybe see some of that. I know that that's been kind of like a fever dream of mine. I mean, that was originally the name of the channel that I had was the Bridges of Meaning Hub channel.
Mhm.
That was the original name, and that was the idea. Was I started that, and I actually put in like audiobooks of different various kinds because my whole conversion happened by listening to an audiobook. And so I would put all these different audiobook playlists together, and then I started like subbing the channels, and I wanted to highlight other channels, which there weren't a lot at the time. There was like the Urandos United and what's her face with the Andrea with the bangs and Jacob, and so and then it just kind of went into whatever it was.
Let's see.
But that could happen. Some sort of
Go here and look citations. This is probably the most revealing view. Does it hold? No, it doesn't hold my click. But back at the start of it, these channels all existed. Rigel was already a thing, even though he was not actually. Yeah. Somehow he was already connected to Vervaeke and Rafe Kelly and me. What? Back in 18? How is this? Can I click? What is this claim? Consensus 1 out of 3. It's just based on the cosine. But the citations part. See how Paul is citing Rebel Wisdom Peterson, and then Sevilla is citing Peterson, and then there's Jordan Hall on Rebel Wisdom already.
We gotta find.
Is citing just saying the name of the channel, or is it more?
I'm not sure what the trigger is. Probably would be link in description.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Grizz and Paul were at a very like, you guys would constantly be getting on me about putting links in the description in my old channel, and I never would do it until eventually I started doing it.
It's like the citations one is essentially, how did this corner get glued together?
Mm-hmm.
It's the flotilla, right?
Right. Paul doing all the work. Why am I not doing work? Because I wasn't putting stuff in descriptions. Maybe. Okay, well. Does anybody else start doing it? Mary Cohen doing it back. It looks like by 2021, Cohen and was referencing Paul, right? Because the arrow is going that way.
We should. So she might have been like the first glue back the weave, the loom, and the weave.
Yeah, it feels weird though, because like my show has always been pretty much like showing people that the corner is a thing. So it just horrible description linking.
This kind of reminds me of when
invisible.
When I was in school for tile, like you could read things in a book about codes and different things like this of how to do stuff, but until you're actually in the field, it's a different experience. So this is kind of like reading codes versus actually living the experience. So when it's kind of interesting. I still think we should do like somebody should try and put together a Finding David Fuller documentary, because that would be an interesting conversation.
It would. Well, there's lots of interesting conversations going around.
That was a very interesting conversation.
That conversation was so interesting that I've had the AI prepare 3 different versions of my outreach letter to him. to to come and do a fringe encounter.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Option number 2 is lead with the hook. So check. I'm gonna see what you think about this one. Pastor Wilson. The cleft of the rock in Exodus 33, God puts Moses in it, passes by, lets him see his back. What's your read on that scene given the current UAP and disclosure noise? I have a hunch you'd find the question more interesting than it sounds. That's the conversation I'd want to record with you if you'd consider it.
Do you think your connection with Boyce, the connection that you have had with him, would be able to help you get in touch with his publicist somehow?
I'm just gonna email the thing and then file it in the right hootenanny. I hope.
Yeah.
The first one says, Boyce had me on his show. Not my best appearance, so I won't link it. But here are 2 episodes that you should watch. Here's one with Rebecca and Pasho.
Yeah, I tried asking Boyce if he would want to talk, and he never responded in any way, shape, or form. I even tried to get in contact with him through like Baxter, but now that I think about it, like I don't even know what I would talk to him about, or even like Hall, like Jordan. Like I don't even know what I would talk to him about now. I just don't even care. Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
I haven't reached out yet, but I want to do it.
You're much more equipped to do that. You know, I'm kind of like, I like sitting here in kind of like nominal TLC land where I know everybody, but I don't really want to. I don't have anything to offer other than maybe creative stuff. I don't have brain shit to actively try to create. I'm doing the Seabax motorcycle thing, but with art. That's what I'm doing. And then maybe this stream.
Sounds good, man.
So what do you think, Grizz, about these random paragraphs and how they connect? What do you think that is?
That's how my show has worked for a long time. Like ever since way back when. I'd have clips I wanted to play and that I'd pull like throughout the day. And then when I go over them on the stream, there's like just this thread you can see that goes through it all. And then, you know, sometimes it's a miss, but the arena is agentic, my friends.
Yes. Later, Grizz. Well, what else you got going on, Mr. Ryan?
Not a whole lot. I saw you're streaming. I want to. My hope. I just started posting videos. My hope is to be another streaming, just hangout channel sort of thing as well. So that is my desire in the TLC land. I feel like you, Chad. I don't have a lot of brainiac ideas to contribute or deep thoughts, but to be a place where people can just talk.
Yeah. Well, I love these things. Like I was listening to Ken Laurie, Corey, and DC Schindler talk, and that like I can keep up, and I really love that conversation. And I think there are people out there who are really good at having those kinds of conversations. I don't think that I have nothing to offer, but I think I'm more interested in doing the kind of the playing with creativity, and like doing this stupid thing where I'm reading these different things or writing stories or poetry or making like I don't think I'm built really well to kind of head an intellectual conversation. So yeah, it's also very draining to me to do that. If I'm doing that on a consistent basis, it's really hard for me to stay enthusiastic about it and contribute to other creative works that I want to be playing with or that might show up. So I'm grateful for the time I had when I was doing a lot of that stuff, but also it's like I'm grateful that I don't have to kind of try to shaped myself to walk in a particular timeline with deadlines or meet other people's expectations, because that just is a mess for me. Now, again, I do think there are people who do it very, very well,
Yeah.
and we need them because that makes I think that keeps the fire. One guy carrying the fire to the next guy, that makes the fire stay alive, and that's very good. But I mean, and it's interesting seeing the fire stay alive long enough to see Benjamin Boyce and uh, what's his nuts, the Moscow, Idaho guy, Doug Wilson, have a conversation. That's been kind of the interesting fruit to see happen, where like the unexpected conversations pop up, and so I think too that in a kind of a narcissistic way that the corner has been kind of ahead of the curve as far as um, desired conversations and topics for years. I think we're like 3 years ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff. And because our attention has been kind of circular around these topics, it's developed a little bit of a market that other people will be able, who are more seniors, will be able to capitalize on. And oh, what's up, Mills? So yeah, I think that if that makes sense, I think that we're kind of like in a weird way at the bottom of the barrel, weaving together the future for desired conversations because we're so kind of fringe in a weird way.
Yeah. It reminds me of Martin Shaw said one time, once he finished writing a book, he wants to be done talking about it, but then he has to go and talk about it, all the time because people haven't read the book yet. And I feel like it's that with TLC, with the 3-year conversation in advance, then other people are talking about things and we've already talked about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I think, some of the things I constantly have topics floating in my mind. Mm-hmm. I think the most kind of revisited topic would be something like what does dreams and faith and care and connection have to do with each of us in our reality? I think those things are like the kind of like the foundation of creativity in my thinking. So dreams are a really interesting one because I hadn't when I was a kid, I would dream a lot and I would remember a lot of my dreams, and often they were chaotic and what's the word? Apocalyptic. And then for years, decades even, I wouldn't even remember any of them. And then and now it's like once in a while I'll start to dream again and remember them. And just thinking about kind of the strangeness of dreams. And it seems like when I'm actually in a more productive and carefree creative flow, that's when I'm more free to actually engage with the dream and remember. What's up, Michael? So that's dreams and creativity are connected, though they aren't the same, I don't think. What was the other thing I was talking about? Dreams and faith. Faith is an interesting thing to think about. And I think collective vision or revelation or perspective are that the collection of those of the whatever the spirit of the times or anything like that. Yeah. Those are interesting to me too, because I think that it's solipsistic as well as uh, um, common, maybe if that any of that's makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Have you had any dreams recently that you've been noodling with?
I had one a few weeks back that's still kind of with me.
Mhm.
Um, the last few days, I haven't really been in a position to remember my dreams. What's up, Philip? But one of them is partly because I think Carolyn has been sick, so she's been not sleeping well, and so I've been on the edge of wakefulness and sleep at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, but the dream that I currently had that was impactful to me was a bit of a revelation. It's been hard to kind of like get across to other people what I really mean by this, but in the dream, I noticed that uh, I came to a consciousness in my dream by maybe a voice. I think it was something like a voice um, declared to me, "Isn't it interesting that you don't notice me?" And I was like, "Well, what?" But I knew what it meant because what it meant was, "Isn't it notice or isn't it interesting that I, the one who's creating this arena, you don't notice that I am creating the arena, and yet I am you." And so it was like this kind of I realized there's like consciousness or something in the dream. Consciousness is broken into agent and arena. So there's like the part of my consciousness which creates the arena in which I'm walking around in, and I don't know what's going to happen next. And then there's me, the one that's kind of watching the dream. He has no face, but what he is he anticipates. He's in constant anticipation of something that will happen. And then there's this other person, which is me, the one that is asleep, that is like discerning these things in the dream. And so that's a really weird thing to think about. Like, and the biggest revelation was that there's a part of me that creates the arena in the dream, and it knows what it is doing, and it is me, though I don't know what it is doing. Isn't that very strange?
Hmm.
Like, think about the dreams that you can remember. Could you anticipate, or I'm sorry, did you know what was exactly going to happen next within that arena, or even how you got there? Or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's very alive. It's like vibrant. It knows its arena. It's, am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think so. So is it sort of what it feels like? So correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like you're talking about. I think of when like Tolkien when he's writing Lord of the Rings, just talks about characters appearing before him that he doesn't realize who they are, but they're just there and they just appear, but he's obviously creating them. But there's
Hmm.
this, like, is that sort of what you're getting at, or am I wrong?
Yeah, somebody else kind of brought something like that up too. It's almost like the creative act, which is similar, because like I'm very familiar with this, where I'm trying to set out to write something, whether it's a poem or a song or a story or whatever, or maybe even draw a picture, where I don't exactly know what is going to come, and it kind of like you basically become a stenographer of the creative well for the creative well. And there's that, but I think it's possibly related. But this, in the dream, like it feels more um like in our waking state. Like, imagine that you, in the room that you're sitting right now, imagine that you are actually the one who is constructing all of that, but you didn't know
Mm.
it.
Oh yeah.
Like that, that's really weird. So like that's what happened in this dream, where I was in the dream and all of a sudden something in the dream itself, or the arena itself, said, "You're the one who's making this, and yet you don't recognize me."
Hmm.
And so that was really weird because that was true. It's like, oh, yeah, like how is the arena here? And how is it that I don't know what's going to happen next? So it sounds like a bunch of cuckoo, weird shit to talk about, but from a perspective of trying to understand dreams, it's like that's really weird, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
yes,
it's cool.
yeah, it's a little different than the creative act of writing or something like that, because like that's seems slower. In the dream world, it's that
Yeah,
it's
fast.
happening. That there's no stenographer. There's the perception, the 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 light that's not light, the picture, the arena, the embodied arena, because it is like an embodied conversation in a way. Like it's not words, it's picture. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I also think
Hmm.
it's interesting that dreams feel so quick, yet we're we're asleep for such a long time. And so I've always wondered if it's like if it does take us a long time to like somehow process or create these dreams, but to us in our subconscious when we're sleeping, it's momentary, just immediate.
Yeah, yeah, or at least is there something within that slows everything down to where it feels
Mm.
like
Yeah.
it's immediate. Like, yeah.
Hmm.
So there's that, and then memory is always interesting to me in that way because I always think about like I have a very strange memory. Like I can remember details about things, whether it's sound or like by the time I was 12 years old, I could play the whole entire like Dark Side of the Moon and you know the Wall perfectly in my head. Like I just knew
Mm.
it. I knew how it's like I can almost hear it.
Hmm.
So that's a strange kind of attribute of memory. But then there's also like um, it could be just something like maybe you mentioned strange, some random innocuous word, and it bang, and I can like I can pull something from my memory that is just kind of like from years ago. Like where is that sitting, and how does that work? And so that to me is very interesting. Oh, Jan, that's interesting. So you started listening to Floyd in your 30s. Yeah. Did you has it have you listened to any Pink Floyd, Ryan?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I mean, I discovered it when I was in like early high school, and fell in love with Dark Side of the Moon, the album. But that's really all I listened to of Floyd. But something in the just
Mhm.
the whole album of Dark Side of the Moon just caught me, and it was one of the first like uh, I don't know I don't know like how to describe it, ethereal experiences that I had listening to Dark Side of the Moon. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so I started at a very kind of vulnerable time for me where I was kind of I think a little isolated from other people in a way. Being I think that age maybe a lot of people feel that way. Um
Hmm.
but I also felt like I had damn good reason to feel that way. And so
Yeah.
um when I encountered uh I felt like I discovered Pink Floyd at that age when it was like mine. Like I didn't inherit it from
Mm.
my parents or something. And I was like, and I did inherit it from my culture, I think. But when I first heard it, when I first decided to listen to it, um, yeah, The Wall to me was the most ethereal kind of experience because the soundscape of it was like more than music. It was dimensional.
Yeah.
It had and it had this really tight relationship with television. It was kind of like a thread that was going on through the background, and there was a lot of um, tension around domicide in that record, and sexuality was another part of it, obviously, and like just the richness of the music was it was just so powerful. It was like I had no savings throws against the wall when I discovered it. And and I watched the movie as a kid. This is before I did any drugs or alcohol, and it was just so powerful that it completely kind of codified my creative um uh not only how like my taste for creativity or things that are created, but how I want to create things, like the dimension of things I want to create, especially the wall. I mean, the wall is just, oh my god, dude. It's I think that they'll probably be talking about that record for
Mhm.
who knows, 500
Yeah.
years or more. Who knows?
Yeah, Floyd was the first time I listened to music, and it made me wanted to like just when I listened to it, I distinctly remember first time listening to Dark Side of the Moon. I was like, I need to go outside and sit under a tree, and like I literally did. Like it was just like I got to be outdoors listening to this. I need to be in nature, sit under a tree. It was the weirdest experience for me, just
Yeah,
eliciting that response, which had never happened before. Just listening to music.
right. Right. Well, interesting, because Western ears discovering something like the Great Gig in the Sky is, I don't, the Great Gig in the Sky is seems like, so like if you can kind of categorize different works of art in terms of Western or Eastern or something, and when I think of kind of like a neo-Western aesthetic, um, the Great Gig in the Sky is kind of way bigger than that. And so, like as a kid who loved the Eagles and the oldies songs and the Guess Who and Sesame Street and Mister Rogers, when I fucking encountered the Great Gig in the Sky, it was like, my God, like it was just so different than anything else. And I kind of feel weird talking about this because, like, who really cares? I mean, there's a lot of folks in the corner who don't ever talk about these things. Hotel California, dude, is
Yeah.
an outstanding, not only an outstanding record, but that song. And I think it's kind of some of those works of arts. There's a lot of Floyd stuff that's like that, but then you have, the song Hotel California. You have some Zeppelin stuff. You have obviously Stairway to Heaven. These are very strange. I don't even know what to make of them, but they are very commercially successful, and but they also walk this other line that's beyond the commercial success, and they are maybe, what's the word? Something like but yeah, they're very fertile and fecund as it relates to inspiration to budding artists who want to express the dream that they don't know how to express. So, boy, oh boy, we are getting some weird shit, dude.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
and that's the I mean that's I love talking art and poetry and music. I think that is one of the great benefits that you add, Chad, to the TLC is that side of things, because I really don't think that the world's going to be saved through another thinky talky academic effort, but through music and art and beauty. So I appreciate all
Mhm.
you do in those fields.
Yeah. Well,
Do you still
I
have
think
that?
the thinky talky it can be. In,
Yeah.
in a way, it can be inspirational, right? Because like I could listen to um DC Schindler and Corey and Ken Laurie talk and be inspired, by certain
Mhm.
points of that,
Yep.
but like it in itself won't do the thing, right? It's going to take what's inside of whoever may encounter that is an artist that kind of moves it along to the next, like it's carries some of that water to the next guy or whatever, and
Mm.
um, or even like listening to Benjamin Boyce and what's his nuts, Doug Wilson. I mean, there's something in there that could be inspiring for sure. I mean,
Oh yeah.
sometimes I think interesting in the post 2020 there was Nick Cave has a record that he put out, and one of the songs on that record is a song called White Elephant, and it's a very strange song. It's almost kooky, but I think it's deeply poetic and possibly it's poetic, and it skates around the fringes of polemics, but it's something that transcends it too if you're able to get through the whole piece. And you could see like there's some of the lyrics and poem and poetry and the lyrics of that song are like, what is a white
Mm.
elephant? And so I did like some thinking about that song for a bit because it had me thinking
Mm.
about I mean, just because we say it's political, it doesn't mean it's not connected to the real or the things that inspire and move us, or repel us and disgust us. And all those different things for me have been my whole creative world has been born out of not only beauty but conflict. And so I don't want to create propaganda, but I want to be able to create art that wrestles with propaganda, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just thinking off the top of my head right now, but yeah,
Yeah.
some of that.
How do you protect yourself from creating propaganda? Because that's my worry as well, right? It's
Yeah,
going into the propaganda route. So what do you do?
I delete my YouTube channel. Um, it's for me. It's sometimes it's extreme measures like that where I have to let go of things that I think are part of my identity that are starting to take and be a reverse feedback loop on me. And so it takes like I think all of the things I've set up to now, the creative stuff is rooted in childlike faith. And so if it's not really still connected to that, and to me, childlike faith is it's everything. It's questions, it's some vague answers, it's a wandering, it's all that stuff. Um and so it has to be rooted in that for it to be uh um deeply meaningful for me. And so yeah, I think to not be propaganda. Yeah, to try not to chase outcomes either is another thing for me.
Mm.
Um, I must remember that I'm a tile guy. I set tile. I'm a father, and I'm a seeker, and I have some friends. I have some difficulties, but I'm not a message carrier. Like I'm not a one who's essentially tries to send messages. I try to play show and tell. So
Mm.
that's it. I think I don't know something like that.
It makes a lot of sense.
I'm glad it makes sense to you because I've never said those words before.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it sounds like you're saying like it's the things that ground you, like the fatherhood and family and faith and your job, like that you
Mhm.
stay attached to those things.
Yeah, yeah, and like now I have been like I said I have been affected by propaganda and things like this. Um, I'm not infallible as it relates to those things. When I think of like there's that poem that Vanderklay is always playing that is still I have it poem. That
So
there's
good.
something about that is deeply connected to for me in a personal way. the American dream, and I really believe in the American dream.
Mhm.
And so I'm not like anti-American. I'm deeply like grateful, and it's a part of my identity. Um, in some ways, maybe even more than the identity of Christian, of being a Christian. Now, there are Christians who will say we got that shit backwards, and I think I don't know. It's not my experience. Um,
Mhm.
uh, so, yeah, I mean, Americanism, I guess, is a part of. I think my desire to kind of iron that out and figure out where I am in that is like I want to be in a stable home, and part of that is um, um, wrestling with that stability is wrestling with the instability of our collective American imagination or identity. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that might always be a part in a thread within the art that I am creating. There's the American is a thread, is a deep thread that must run through probably all of it somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the last videos that you made that I remember before you deleted Friday. What was it? Friday Morning Nameless. And
Mhm.
you made a video about, I can't get it out of my head, about the goddess Columbia and
Yeah.
the connection of the goddess Columbia to America. And it is just this deeply, like, it's so interesting to me. And I never saw it, like DC, District of Columbia, right? And
Mhm.
you pointed it out so well, where it's like America, the Christian nation, also their capital is named District of Columbia.
Mhm.
This goddess Columbia, and just how those two like exist
Mhm.
together. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's been in my brain for however long since you made that.
Yeah. I've kind of been thinking about this idea of I don't know, maybe it was listening to Rigel and Paul talking about the Orthodox thing and thinking about um so like the Orthodox Church and the well, a lot of the ancient church is born out of um like kingdoms, or it survived
Mhm.
in places that had kings and like a lot of top down um seemingly top down political or whatever geographical pressures. uh and then thinking about then we get to America, and so a lot of those churches, or like even like the Orthodox is an interesting version of it, where they kind of have, you can't have like one person speak for the Orthodox Church.
Right.
They'll say, well, and it's kind of has this kind of strange little thing that it's kind of like open fluidity there a little bit. And I
Hmm.
think there's even some of that within some of the Catholic Church. I think, at least when I talk to Catholics, there are different points of views. But then when you get to like a place like America where there is no king, then you start to get more of like the top down pressure that, so it's a must. There always must be some top down pressure in tension with the bottom up pressure. So before, in the old world, when there was medieval kings and queens, and there was like maybe the religious was more fluid, and then the political or whatever, the ruling class was more rigid. Now we come to America, the ruling class is like is not so rigid, but the freedom of religion becomes more of a top down kind of constraint. Does that
Hmm.
make sense? I don't know. It's a weird inverted idea that I was thinking about playing with there.
Yeah.
It's like you can't escape any of this stuff. You're going to have to wrestle with it one way or another,
Hmm.
something like that. And again, I only talk out of my own like meanderings. There's no facts. I don't speak on fact. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Luke wants me to
Yeah. Well,
talk about fact.
no, I get that. Yeah. Well, even just like picking up on the Orthodox thread that you put down, it is like there is no one Orthodox church, right? It's there's the Greek Orthodox, there's the Russian Orthodox, it's the Antiochian Orthodox. Like they're all these nations that are Orthodox, and so they all
Mhm.
have their different flavors and views and ways that they do things, which
Yeah,
has
but then
been
you got
fun to
big
talk about.
then you got big dogs in each doghouse, right? You
Yeah.
got like big different thinkers that are completely different within each place, you know.
Hmm. Well, yeah, because I'm in South Bend, Indiana, and we have a Greek Orthodox and we have an Antiochian Orthodox, and they are very different. Like the Greek Orthodox is very traditional. They'll still say half of their service in Greek. You have the Antiochian, which are almost like they're almost like trying to go out and like connect with people and bring people in and evangelize to people, sort of thing, which is just very different approaches.
Yes. I'm just letting Ann let me know when Carolyn wakes up, because then I'll bounce out.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, so yeah, that's all interesting stuff. Are you so you do are you would you consider yourself a creative person of sorts?
I hope to be. I don't know if I am yet, but I hope to be.
Cool. Are you going to do some contributing to like the little zine thing that they're doing right now? Where
So
are you aware of
yeah, I don't
that?
know. I don't know much about that. What that is.
Okay, so the this little zine is like an online magazine at this point. I think its first instantiation. All right, I gotta get going here soon. Its first instantiation was at Midwestuary. Matt Skankenstein put together a little magazine, and he handed it out to everybody. It's like this little homemade paper magazine, and then he started a Substack where people will contribute different things. And one of the things that he started doing was fiction stories. And so the first one of those was uh, uh, cyberpunk Islam was like the prompt, and so they had a bunch of people contribute stories there. And then the next one, the prompt was detective, and so I was like, okay, I want to be in on this one. So I did write a story. So I sent it over to him, and they'll be publishing that. But I think that if you have, I mean, my advice on the thing is, I don't care how good you think you are or how bad you think you are. If you have a willingness to write something, in that prompt, you should do it. And then don't worry about whether or not the quality is exactly what you would want it to be, because I think this is the actual antidote to anything to do related to artificial intelligence. So it's like, if I'm not concerned about artificial intelligence because I don't rely on it to produce entertainment for me. So, um, so I take the position of I'm going to be a creative participant. And so then I write a story and I send it over to him. And so, like, if you want to be a creative, don't worry so much about how you think it'll look, because that was one of the things my wife told me when I first started writing. Because I was like, "How do you write a story?" And she's like, "You just start." And I was like, "Really? That's it?" She's like, "Yeah." So then she inspired me to start writing, and and I wouldn't say that I'm great or even bad, or it doesn't matter. None of that's important. What's important is like the interaction with the dream, to play with that, and to experience the creative act, because that is, for me, that's the joy, right? And then the show and tell is the secondary joy. That being said, Carolyn is awake, and I should probably go help. So,
is it a Substack? This little zine, is it
Substack.
Okay.
It's called This Little Zine. Let me see it. Maybe I can find and put it in the. Let me see. Substack. Subscriptions. Let's see. Wait. History. Let me see. Almost there. Why am I not finding it? Search. Go back to home. Oh, here it is. Subscriptions. Okay. Share. Copy link. Okay. There. It's in the
Awesome.
should be in the yeah.
I got
Cool.
it. Thanks.
Yeah,
I
that's the
appreciate
link
it.
to it. All right, guys. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming on.